This right here, this one hurt. I just found out we...
Sparky D Son, paying a deeply emotional tribute at the late hip-hop pioneer's funeral, has brought the entire ceremony to a standstill, and the specific details he shared about his mother's final days are now resonating across the music community. The update coming out of the service paints a picture of profound loss, not just for a single family, but for the foundational era of hip-hop that Sparky D helped build from the ground up in the Bronx. The raw transparency of his words shifted the focus from a standard celebration of her musical career to a devastatingly honest look at the personal sacrifices she endured behind closed doors. The funeral service, organized to honor the legacy of the legendary MC whose real name was Doreen Spark, drew a heavy crowd of early hip-hop architects, family members, and lifelong friends. While the presence of iconic figures from the 1980s rap scene underscored her massive industry impact, the atmosphere in the room fundamentally changed the moment her son stepped to the podium. According to reports from those in attendance, he did not deliver a traditional eulogy focused solely on her chart success or her famous battle rap legacy. Instead, he focused intensely on the woman who raised him, detailing the quiet, unglamorous struggles she faced long after the bright spotlight of the early hip-hop scene had moved on to new artists. But that wasn't the only surprise during the ceremony. The sheer vulnerability displayed by her son opened the floodgates for other family members to share previously unheard details about Sparky D's life after she stepped back from the mainstream music industry. For decades, she had been largely absent from the public eye, leading many outside of her immediate circle to assume she had simply walked away from the culture she helped create. The funeral updates revealed a drastically different reality, one marked by continuous community work, quiet mentorship, and an unwavering dedication to her family that completely eclipsed her need for industry validation or public attention. However, one detail quickly caught everyone's attention regarding the dynamic inside the venue as he spoke. As her son addressed the congregation, the reaction from the older generation of hip-hop artists seated in the pews was visibly emotional. These are individuals who carved out a multi-billion-dollar global industry from nothing, yet they were brought to tears by a son simply describing his mother's everyday resilience. It highlighted a painful, unspoken truth about the pioneers of that specific era. Many of them sacrificed their physical health, their financial stability, and their personal lives to lay the groundwork for modern rap, only to be left without the proper safety nets enjoyed by today's artists. To fully understand the weight of the funeral ceremony, you have to look at exactly what Sparky D represented during the most volatile, competitive period of hip-hop history. She was not just a female rapper in the 1980s. She was a central, aggressive force in the infamous Roxanne Wars, a pivotal series of response records that revolutionized how artists engaged in lyrical combat and how the industry marketed rivalry. Her tracks were unapologetic, sharp, and highly successful at a time when the music establishment was deeply skeptical of female MCs generating real revenue or sustaining long-term careers. Her son's tribute served as a stark reminder that behind those aggressive, groundbreaking records was a young woman navigating an incredibly hostile, male-dominated business environment while simultaneously trying to raise a child. Then another update changed the understanding of her final months. While the public knew she had been facing severe health challenges leading up to her passing, the funeral ceremony brought to light just how rapidly her condition deteriorated in her final weeks. Sources indicate that her son addressed the harsh reality of watching a parent fight a losing medical battle, confirming that her physical decline was far more brutal than what was shared on social media or in public statements. The grief expressed by her son was not just about losing his mother. It carried an underlying, heavy frustration about the systemic failures that often leave older hip-hop pioneers fighting severe illnesses without the level of medical and financial care their foundational legacy arguably deserves. Unlike modern artists who have massive teams, publicists, and comprehensive health insurance built into their record labels, the artists who laid the groundwork in the 1980s frequently signed contracts that left them completely unprotected in their later years. The lack of a structural safety net for aging hip-hop legends is an ongoing crisis, and the pain in her son's voice at the funeral brought that quiet tragedy to the forefront of the conversation. He did not have to explicitly criticize the industry. The mere fact that his mother's final days were marked by such intense struggle spoke volumes about how the business treats its founders once their commercial peak has passed. Just when people thought they understood the emotional peak of the service, the closing moments provided a powerful, unifying visual for the hip-hop community. As the tribute concluded and the ceremony moved toward its final rites, attendees noted a profound shift in the room. The fragmented, often competitive nature of the old-school hip-hop scene seemed to momentarily dissolve. Rivals, contemporaries, and younger artists who were directly inspired by Sparky D's trailblazing career stood together in absolute silence, acknowledging that an irreplaceable piece of their shared history had been laid to rest. The service transitioned from a mourning of her death to a desperate, collective vow to ensure that the pioneers of that era are not forgotten as the genre continues to rapidly evolve and generate unprecedented wealth. Details remain limited on the exact private arrangements following the public tribute, as the family has rightfully requested space to grieve away from the media's lens. But the image of Sparky D Son standing at that podium, fighting through tears to accurately document his mother's true legacy, has already left a permanent mark on the culture. It forces a difficult but entirely necessary conversation about how the hip-hop community honors its fallen architects while they are still alive to appreciate it. The question that lingers long after the funeral updates stop circulating is whether the industry will finally step up to protect the surviving legends, or if they will only be properly recognized in the emotional, heartbreaking eulogies delivered by their children.